I'm going to go over a few stocks on the 5-minute time frame and show you the channels we are in for Tuesday. But before I get started, I just wanted to say that our hearts go out to the families of those impacted by the horrific acts committed on this day 22 years ago. We will never forget you. Now, to my first stock, and I want to recap some of the things that I have done recently with Grow Generation. But first, we ended the day at $3.66, up more than 6%. To the north side from where we are takes us to resistance at 2 standard deviations, and that is $3.78. Above that, at 3 standard deviations, 385, and another level of resistance and take profit area. And should we get to 4 standard deviations, that will take us to $3.92. Now, if we make it to this line, or this line, I will anticipate a pullback as people take their profits and they run. Now, to the south side, we are very close to the middle of the trend, but that would take us to 365. I anticipate we grind along this area until price either breaks to the downside or price goes up. Now, below that, at -2 standard deviations and another level of support, and a possible buy-in area is 351, 344, and at -4 standard deviations, roughly 338. If we make it to here, here, or here, I will anticipate a buy-in as people buy the dip. Now, of course, it could grind along here and then drop again and then grind along there and then bounce back up. You just have to continue to watch the charts to see what direction price is going to go. Now, the RSI is at 47. I talked about this stock a couple of times recently. Back on the 7th, price was at $3.25. I mentioned there was a gap to the upside at 336, fills at 360. Well, today that gap finally filled at 360. And I talked about this stock also on the 8th and then mentioned the gap again. Sometimes gap fills take a long time and sometimes they just fill instantly. So this one fortunately did, and I do love to play gaps because I find that it's a very simple stock to get in, ride the wave, and then get out. Well, today I sold out at $3.70, which I mentioned that I would do, and it did hit my target. I set a limit and I got out when it hit there, but price did go to $3.78. I could have watched it, but I didn't. I just set it and let it do its thing because I was on to a couple other trades. Now, I did buy this stock at $2.64 down here, and I sold again at 370, which gives me a profit of a return of 40%. And again, I bought it on the 30th of August and sold out today. So I'm very happy with that trade. It definitely beats sticking your money in a bank account. Now, let me show you what the RSI looks like on the monthly time frame. This is where I look to find bargains. I troll the RSI on the monthly to see if these are good long-term holds. That means I will scoop up more shares and then just hold. I like to buy at 40 and below, but I prefer obviously to buy along the 30 line, the RSI. That means you are oversold and it's an opportunity possibly. So this is still sort of in my buy zone for long-term investing. But I'm just sort of in and out in this one. I have many other stocks I would prefer to buy in. And the 1-year price target is $4.96, which represents another 35% run from where we are today. Many opportunities to swing trade. Let me take this back to the 5-minute time frame. Now the next one I want to go over is BNGO. We ended the day at $3.49, up nearly 3%. The 52-week low is $2.95. The 52-week high is $30.10. The one-year price target is $17.75, which represents a 408% return on your money should we make it to this level. Of course, it's going to take a long time to get there, but a lot of opportunities to swing trade, which is what I love to do. Only because I have so many shares that I am investing in. So I don't need any more of that. I'm just playing and I'm having fun. Now, this is where we are, basically at the middle of the trend. And from where we were, we are now at support. If we go up, this will be considered resistance. So the next level at 2 standard deviations is 370. Above that, at another level of resistance, 382. And at 4 standard deviations, $3.92. Again, I will anticipate a sell-off whenever we hit resistance, and we may sell off, but we may go up another leg. All right, oops, control, let me make that go back. I accidentally moved my bar there, my line. Now to the south side, at support and a level of a take profit level, I should say, 327. And below that is -3 standard deviations. Oops, right over here. 316 and -4 standard deviations takes us to 305. So again, if we hit this line, oh, wait a minute, what is that line? No, I'm sorry, that is something else that, let me remove this. I accidentally put that on my graphs somehow. All right, let me do this again to the south side. To the south side, -2 standard deviations. Oh, wait. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. -2, 3. That was -4 standard deviations. There we go. Sorry. -2 standard deviations is 327, 316, and roughly 305. If we make it to this level, I will anticipate a bounce up. So on this line and this line as well. These blue lines that you see are previous -2 standard deviations, the middle of the trend, and 2 standard deviations. Sometimes I will mark it out. That way I know where we've been in the past. For instance, let me do this very quickly. We are at the middle of the trend, so I'm going to mark out the middle. Let me make this a different color so you can see better. That's the middle of the trend, and this is roughly 2 standard deviations and -2 standard deviations. That's where I anticipate price will stay tomorrow, Tuesday. Now, if it goes outside of that line, that is definitely a buy and sell signal. But I always anticipate price to stay within 2 and -2 standard deviations, okay? You can play this all day long. And then anytime we go out, that is definitely a clear buy and sell signal. But along here, 2 standard deviations is also a sell signal. Down here, a buy signal. All right, it's very safe to play within -2 and 2 standard deviations. If you're down here and you want to play conservatively, just go to the middle of the line and get out. If you like to stay a little longer and try to see if it goes to 2 standard deviations, that's one way to play it. But note that if we do get to this line, there is usually a sell-off before it goes to another leg up if it goes to another leg up. All right, that's it for BNGO. Let me take this over to Tesla. All right, I want to thank Murat for pointing this stock out. We had a fantastic run today, up more than 10%. All right, the 52-week low is 101.81. I bought it at 130 at one point, so I still have those shares. And I also bought some at 230, and I have those shares. I have a lot of Tesla. All right, the high The 52-week high is $313.80. The 1-year price target we have already hit, which is this white line. So if you want to know the next target, which I've heard is around $400, different analysts have predicted that. Just go to tipranks.com and check that out. All right, here we go. Let me try to decipher this. To the north side from where we are takes us to 2 standard deviations, and that is $279.80. Now, I just want to say, I forgot to mention that Murat thinks Tesla will take 2 steps back and reach roughly between 260 and, which is right here, 260 to roughly 256. All right, 256 takes us to right about at -2 standard deviations. And then he thinks we'll close a gap from 280 to 289. All right, let me do this again. So 2 standard deviations takes us to roughly 279.88. That gap forms to the upside at 280.81. I talked about this gap a long time ago. It formed on July 19th. 3 standard deviations and another take profit area takes us to 285.88. That gap closes out at 291.08. All right. Now to the south side, back at the middle of the trend, and since we are up here, this would be considered support. And I will anticipate a bounce at support again if we go down. That is at 267.73. A gap forms to the south side at 261.64. That gap formed on, let me move this out of the way, earlier today. And the gap went up. So when the gap goes up, it goes and fills to the south side, all right? So -2 standard deviations takes us to 255.98. -3 standard deviations takes us to 249.74. That gap closes out at 248.56. And -4 standard deviations takes us to 243.83. The RSI is at 53. Let me show you what Tesla looks like on the monthly time frame. The RSI is still going up. We've got a lot of room to get to overbought, so plenty of opportunities to swing trade, day trade, whatever you like to do. And note, every time we get above 70 and higher to here at this point 92, guess what happens? It falls down. It cannot sustain at this level. It's not natural. There has to be consolidation, a pullback, and then another attempt, as you can see right here. Pullbacks, and look how far we went. And now it looks like the pattern is going to repeat itself again. Let me show you if I can get this. Oops. Stay on page. There we go. I've tracked this many times in the past. It looks like a hot mess, but we are right here. All right. And, oh, here we go. An old price target that I checked on stock analysis is 335 on June 19th. On July 22nd, 350, but I've heard that we've got a target now of 400, which I have not verified. And that does it for me. The next stock I want to cover is SQQ and when to buy that, but I will do that probably over the weekend. And that does it. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it. Have a great day.